Get the list here. Full list of Trump officials on Signal text chain with journalist. The Trump-hating journalist, Jeff Goldberg here. He's the one. Editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. So he was accidentally included on this. And I said, I'm not going to give you the full background on it because if you are a news watcher like me, you've seen this everywhere. We can read the things in full here. I think I'll do that. I haven't done that yet. That could be fun. Anyway, these are the people that was on the chat. We got Pete Hegseth. We got JD Vance. So, Defense Secretary, the Vice President, the National Security Advisor, NSA, Michael Waltz. We got the CIA Director, John Ratcliffe. We got the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles. A person identified as Mar, who Goldberg wrote is likely to be Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So we got the Secretary of State. A person identified as SM, who Goldberg wrote is likely to be Stephen Miller. Joe Kent, Trump's nominee to lead the National Counterterrorism Center. U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. This is, let's do some editing so the stream doesn't get even more blocked than it will be already. Steve Witkoff, Mr. The guy that took over Syria, he's good, he's redeemable, but the H@M@S not redeemable. Okay. That definitely sounds like you're working for somebody at that point. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. So this is the big people, I would say. That's it. So we can go right over here and let's see what they said here. This is the full exchange that's been leaked, I guess. White House National Security Advisor Michael Waltz. Team establishing a principals group for coordination on the Houthis, particularly for over the next 72 hours. My deputy, Alex Wong, is pulling together a tiger team at deputies/agency chief of staff level, following up from the meeting in the set room this morning for action items, and we'll be sending that out later this evening. Please provide the best staff point of contact from your team for us to coordinate with over the next couple days and over the weekend. THX. Ooh, Michael Waltz. I don't like that. THX. The English teacher in me is hurting. Marco Rubio. Mike Needham for State, JD Vance, Andy Baker for Vice President, TG, presumed to be Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, Joe Kent for DNI, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Dan Katz for Treasury, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Dan Caldwell for Department of Defense, Brian McCormick for NSC, National Security Council. Did he nominate himself? I'm not sure. Goldberg added that CIA Director John Ratcliffe replied with the name of a CIA official, which he decided not to publish for security reasons. The next day, Friday, March 14th. Michael Waltz, team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. According to Glenn Greenwald, that is a euphemism for your encrypted chat or whatnot. State and DOD, we developed suggested notification lists for regional allies and partners. Joint staff is sending this. a more specific sequence of events in the coming days, and we will work with DOD to ensure Chief of Staff, Office of Vice President, and President of the United States are briefed. JD Vance, team, I am out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I am willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, but there is a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc. Joe Kent. Which I will say, a brief aside, thank God for you, JD Vance. I think it's because you were raised poor in the middle of nowhere like me. Most Americans look at this attack on the Houthis, which you guys will say in these texts here in a minute. No one knows who the Houthis are. Why are we blowing up more brown people overseas with our hard-earned tax dollars? Why don't you help us out? We are drowning in inflation and a stagnating economy. So good on you, JD, for saying, I think we are making a mistake. Yes. Carry on. Joe Kent. There's nothing time-sensitive driving the timeline. We'll have the exact same options in a month. So we could bomb people in a month if we need to. JD Vance. Pete Hegseth. At Pete Hegseth. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Let's make sure our messaging is tight here, and if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Does this get bigger if I click on it? I fully share your loathing of European freeloading, says Pete Hegseth. It's pathetic. But Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any. Given POTUS' directive to reopen shipping lanes, I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. So did they open up the shipping lanes? I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I looked this up earlier. How do I get out of this? This one? There's ports in Israel. Let's look at it. 6 major ports. Is it the port of Haifa? That doesn't look like the one I looked at. 6 major ports of Israel. I think it was the port of Eilat. Port of E-I. Port of E-I-L-A-T. There it is. So let's go down here and you can see what the Yemenis have been doing. Impact of Red Sea crisis. Here you go. In October 2023, Ansar Allah, widely known as the Houthi movement, fired missiles and drones targeting international interests in the Red Sea. They were generally aimed at ships from all countries sailing through the Red Sea. The missiles and drones were intercepted with no casualties recorded. The strikes were followed by further attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. Ships headed to the port of Eilat were among the ships targeted by the Houthis. All container shipping through the Red Sea dropped by approximately 90% from December to the middle of February due to the Houthi attacks. In December, it was reported by the CEO of the Eilat port that following the Houthi attacks, shipping activity to the port has dropped by 85%. In March 2024, the port operator announced plans to lay off half its staff due to Houthi attacks, stymieing shipping trade to the port. On July 7, 2024, the port's CEO told the Knesset Economic Affairs Committee that there had been no activity at the port in the past 8 months, and he was requesting financial assistance. Later, the CEO said, it must be acknowledged that the port is in a state of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, people. Bankruptcy. So, that's why they're doing this. I will say, it's interesting to me that it reminds me of what Mao said, you know, the empire is a paper tiger. If a small group of dedicated people who, as Garland Nixon says, the Houthis feel that they were chosen by God to fight America, American imperialism. And if they're attacked and killed for fighting America, they feel that that is proof that God is rewarding them. How are you going to beat these people? The people in this group chat are going to beat those kind of people willing to die to do what they think is the right thing. Good luck. So let's go back to the text messages here. As I heard it, so who is SM? That is, who was SM again? Stephen Miller. Who is Stephen Miller? Does anybody know? Stephen Miller. American political advisor, Homeland Security advisor. Looks like this guy. White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Okay. All right. So Stephen Miller says, as I heard it, the president was clear. Green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. E.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. Pete Hegseth says, I agree. So, this goes on for a while, but it's not a whole lot. So, I just want to know it all. I haven't read these in depth yet. So, this is still interesting to me. I did listen to the whole entire 2-hour testimony of them in front of Congress being like, no, we didn't say anything confidential other than like where we were going to attack and when and with what, but nothing bad per se. Nothing like Julian Assange would say, like curious eyes never run dry, like words like that. That's a 100-year prison sentence, you know. Anyway, let's go on. Pete Hegseth says, VP, I understand your concerns and fully support you raising with the president important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. Economy, Ukraine, peace, Gaza, etc. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are. I love that. Nobody knows who the Houthis are. Which is why we would need to stay focused on, 1, Biden failed, and 2, Iran funded. Waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. Two immediate risks on waiting. 1, this leaks, and we look indecisive. 2, Israel takes an action first, or Gaza ceasefire falls apart, and we don't get to start this on our terms. We can manage both. We are prepared to execute, and if I had final go or no-go vote, I believe we should. This is not about the Houthis. I see it as 2 things. 1, restoring freedom of navigation, a core national interest, and 2, reestablishing deterrence, which Biden cratered. But we can easily pause, and if we do, I will do all we can to enforce 100% OPSEC, operational security. I welcome other thoughts. That's hilarious that he's going to enforce OPSEC 100. Well, that definitely worked out, didn't it? As I'm reading this on Newsweek. And he also worried it'll leak, right? Michael Waltz, whether it's now or several weeks from now, it will have to be the United States that reopens these shipping lanes. Per the president's request, we are working with DOD and state to determine how to compile the cost associated and levy them on the Europeans. JD Vance, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing out Europe again. Okay, well, we've read this part. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here, and if there are things we can do to upfront minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. Hegseth, Vice President, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic, but Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any, given POTUS directive to reopen shipping lanes. I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. Stephen Miller says, as I heard it, the president was clear, green light. but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. E.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. Pete Hegseth says, I agree. So now we're on to the next day, Saturday, March 15th. According to Goldberg, Hegseth posted a team update, which included operational details of forthcoming strikes on Yemen, including information about targets, weapons the U.S. would be deploying, and attack sequencing. J.D. Vance replied, I will say a prayer for victory. You know, amen. There's nothing more Christian, Vance, you good Catholic you, than blowing up some brown people overseas. Nothing more Christian. Goldberg said Michael Waltz later posted another update describing the attacks as an amazing job, though he chose not to share details for security reasons. Houthi PC Small Group. That's a great name for this group. Houthi PC Small Group. Excellent, John Ratcliffe. A good start. Michael Waltz. Fist bump. American flag. Fire emoji. I like me and Michael Waltz do kind of emoji the same. What is this guy? Maybe I could be the director of the NSA. I probably couldn't do a worse job. I'm far better at using Signal than these people. I can't imagine, like, I wonder if it was hacked and leaked, but I don't think it was. I think someone accidentally, stupidly, judging by his face in the thumbnail, I think he's just old, and they got him on Signal. And he's like, I don't know, the Signal was installed when I came in. I just started using it. The kids were like, and I get it because I do this with other people. I'll be like, hey, you should just use Signal. It's like way more secure, and let's talk on there. And half the time you can't get people to do it. But maybe Mike Waltz goes, I'll figure it out. I'll be like the kids. I'm not out of touch. It's the kids who are out of touch. I can figure out Signal. I'll even go a little step further and add my friend. Oops. I added the guy that hates us the most. Well, drats. Sorry, Trump. Still learning. Still figuring this thing out. Good job, MAR. Good job, Pete, and your team. Michael Waltz, the team in Mal did a great job as well. Great work, all. Powerful start. What a team building activity, guys. This is amazing. Like, I love the corporate bureaucracy talk. We're a PR team. Well, we read all of this. Good job, Pete, and your team. Let's see. John Ratcliffe, a good start. Waltz posted fist, American flag, fire emojis. MAR. Good job, Pete, and your team. Susie Wiles, kudos to all, most particularly those in theater and sitcom. Really great. God bless. God bless. Who's more on God's side? The people, well, let's just look, because I'm probably going to forget. Steve Witkoff posted 2 hands praying, 1 flexed bicep, and 2 American flag emojis. TG, great work and effects. Great work and effects. Let's look it up before I forget. Let's see who they hit. Maybe this was all worth it. Maybe the prayers were answered, guys. Let's see who they hit here. Luckily, we have people on the ground. One of my old friends, Christopher Halali's on the ground. Jackson Hinkle's on the ground. Pepe Escobar is in the rubble. Let's see what he had to say. Let's find it here. There it is, right there. And I will share this one. So let's watch it. Let's see. Napolitano's channel has been fire lately. If you're interested in this, he's got like 5 great videos all about this. So
video. We've taken the sound off because we can't hear your voice over all the.
Of course, yes. We did this in a rush.
You can describe to us what we're seeing, Chris. If you'd play that video.
Okay, thank you.
So where are you?
I am at the site of a residential building. There were only civilians inside. There was hit by American bombs yesterday night around 9 o'clock. And today, of course, we lobbied the security services to take us there, and we explained to them that the world needs to see these images. And if it's not for us, the small group of independents who are here, this will never be on American mainstream media or Western mainstream media. And I talked to the owner of this building. It was a two-story building. It was, they were trying to refurbish it somewhat. There were only civilians inside. So far, the numbers that we have, 4 to 5 people died and around 11, 12 were injured and in the street outside. So there's no military value whatsoever. And you can see by yourselves, these are some of the hills behind Sana. This is a residential area. It's, I would say, a lower middle class what residential area.
What does the United States gain by bombing a residential area of the capital of Yemen?
Absolutely. No, it's even worse because it points to a dysfunctionality and a level of absurdity that is absolutely extraordinary, and compounded with the so-called leak that we had a few hours ago. Everybody here in Sana, diplomats, the security services, the guys who are guarding our perimeter, everybody read it. Where the narrative is that a leaked group chat showing how the Yemen war was planned. And we have quotes like Vice President Vance saying, let's make sure our message is tight, or the strongest reason to do this is to send a message, quote. So this is completely absurd. Can you imagine that these people were discussing launching a war on Signal, which is an encrypted...
Listen to what my former Fox colleague, who is now the Secretary of Defense, said, quote, exactly. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, close quote. So we must advance the idea that, quote, Biden failed and Iran funded. Do you believe that they're bombing people that the Secretary of Defense says nobody knows who the hell they are, and they're going to blame it on Joe Biden and on Iran?
Judge, obviously he doesn't know who the Houthis are, or Ansar Allah is, or what Yemen is, or anything about the history of Yemen, which is a people of warriors. Today, for instance, we were visiting the house of Imam Yahya, which is a...
Okay. Answered prayers, right? Wouldn't you say? Boy, I sure would. Thank God. Prayers up, guys. Great job. God blessings to CENTCOM. We just blew up a residential neighborhood in Yemen with our missiles. No one knows who the Houthis are, but answered prayers. Answered prayers. Isn't that what you voted for Trump to do, to bomb the Houthis? That's what got me out of bed to go vote. So this is leaked. I mean, this is all I could think about today. Are all these people going to go to prison for leaking war plans? I mean, if that's not confidential, what is confidential information? Y'all just gonna have a signal chat like the rest of us? Yeah, Andy, it is disgusting. And, you know, I went to journalism school because of Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and people like that. So Assange, like I said a little bit ago, they had trouble getting any charges on Assange because he was doing journalism. Barack Obama called it the New York Times problem. If we prosecute Assange, we have to prosecute the New York Times because they also published the material. So they eventually charged him with a felony for, I think it was encouragement to hack a government computer. Thanks for dropping by, Grapentine. Good to see you, man. But yeah, they got him with encouragement to hack a government computer. So that's a felony. If you tell someone like, hey, you should hack that computer. He didn't even say that. He said, from what I understand, Bradley/Chelsea Manning said, I'm having trouble cracking the hash of this password. And this, for you guys that don't know, this is, I believe it was the Iraq war logs, which was published on WikiLeaks, showed the U.S. government was lying about how many civilians they were killing in Iraq. It had the famous collateral murder video of 3 Apache helicopter pilots shooting 2 Reuters journalists on film. And then like an ambulance comes, or it was like a van coming to help the wounded. And then they said, light it up. And you just hear, I think it killed a 12-year-old boy. It's all on film. He released all that. Anyway, Manning was having trouble cracking the password, and Assange wrote back, curious eyes never run dry. So they were going to give him, I think it was like 125 years in an American prison. He's not even from America, for saying curious eyes never run dry, which they interpreted as, this is Mike Pompeo, of course. Thank God Trump didn't bring him back, but it looks like he's found people just as slick. Just as slick. I did want to get a little taste of Pete Hegseth here. He is something.
Information about war plans. Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist.
Straight to ad hominem.
Made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So according to him, there was more. He absolutely needs to resign. I mean, at the least, you know. There's lots of footage of them in front of Congress. I don't even want to start that, because the rest of the stream will be about that. And, you know, my favorite thing about getting on here is he was triggered, Andy. Yes. Get on here and share my thoughts. Like the Assange thing. So he gets 100+ years for saying curious eyes never run dry. You guys were just leaking a literal, that was a war plan, dude. I guarantee it. I think this, from everything I've heard of this journalist, he's a lib idiot. You know, I'm not a fan of him. I'm not even 100% sure that this isn't another wing of the deep state trying to get all you guys out. I don't care. What you've done was stupid. And after 10, 15 years of hypocrisy to people that are heroes to me, like Julian Assange, or let's look at Edward Snowden for a minute. What did Edward Snowden do? Let's see. He also, if you guys can get your hands on him, thank God he's like buried in a basement in Moscow. It's probably the only place he'll be safe. Either that or under Xi Jinping's house. But if you guys could get your hands on him, he would go to some 100% conviction federal district court in Virginia. And he'll be like, well, you guys broke the fourth. Shut up. You're being prosecuted under the 1917 Espionage Act. You have no right to defend yourself in court. How is that constitutional? How is the 1917 Espionage Act constitutional? I want to interview Glenn Greenwald for my journalism class, and we'll just have a discussion about that the whole time. How is this constitutional? You have the First Amendment and you have the Fourth Amendment. Isn't the Constitution the highest law of the land? Which amendment do you get the right to a speedy trial of your peers? You guys tell me. Tell me in the chat. You can feel smart and you can help me. I can't remember. It's one of them. But we all know that's one of our rights. We get a right to a trial of our peers. If you want to defend yourself in court, I mean, that's all Snowden would have to say. You guys were breaking the Fourth Amendment because you were spying on all of us. For you youngins that don't know, in 2013, Snowden released he was working for the NSA, and he noticed the NSA had all these programs called Keyscore. That was some program where they can just type your name in and see everything you've ever done on any computer or any phone or whatever. Nothing, they don't need a warrant for any of it. It's all just there. There was another program, I believe, called Stellar Wind. I think that was the one where they just had a split at the end of the internet pipe that comes out of like the ocean, and we're just downloading everything off the pipe and storing it. And they were building this giant facility in Utah where they were storing all this data forever, for like the next 200 years. So God forbid America does get its own version of the Mustache Man, which, judging by these texts, I hate when people do this, but I will say it's reminding me of that old novel, It Can't Happen Here. What was that? It wasn't Upton Sinclair. It's Sinclair Lewis. That when the F word comes to America, that F-ism word comes to America, it will be, carrying a cross and draped in the American flag as you bomb Yemenis civilians after starving them for decades. Like you're doing, and all you're worried about is money and looking tough. That's what you guys said in your message. We're worried about shipping and looking tough, not the 50,000 dead kids and women in Gaza. But you wanted to get Snowden on the Espionage Act. You wanted to bury him under the prison for revealing those documents to two trustworthy journalists, Glenn Greenwald, a First Amendment lawyer, civil rights lawyer, and Laura Poitras, an award-winning filmmaker. And he took every precaution just to give it to them to publish. And you want to bury him under the prison. Meanwhile, you idiots are having a Signal chat leak with your war plans in it. What, is it not specific enough for you to really get in trouble? You know damn well, everybody listen out there, that if it was me, or it was you, or it was anybody they don't agree with, Hillary Clinton, Hillary posted something today about it. She posted something and was like, oh my God. And I just replied, hey, email lady. And then I just quoted her like, what do you mean I wipe my server? Like with a cloth? If you guys watch my channel for any length of time, you know I ain't no friend of hers or any of the Democrats. You know? I voted for Trump. I thought it was the lesser of two evils. I could have done a due dissidence and voted green or something. I've done that before. It just feels like you can be like, well, I'm better than everyone because I didn't vote for one of these two parties. Even Garland does that. I love you, Garland, but I mean, one of the two is going to win. It was pretty obvious. You know, after what they did to Bernie, I always hope the Democrats lose, the demon rats. It sounds like Newsom's smart enough to figure out what to say next time. But, I mean, if you trust Gavin Newsom, I've got a bridge to sell you. But yeah, it's just the hypocrisy that, you know, nothing's going to happen to these people. Nothing's going to happen to them because they're in charge. But Snowden and Assange, who were on the right side, can you say it can you say it about the Houthis on YouTube? Can you talk around it? That they may appear to be on a similar side. Could I say that? Am I going to get my channel deleted? You're nobody till somebody kills your YouTube channel. Can't live in fear of that. You got to get on here and do what you say without being a real idiot about it. You know what I mean? You don't want to just give it to them. But to me, the hypocrisy is off the charts. This is a huge security breach, and none of you are going to get in trouble because you are in charge of the government. It doesn't matter how incompetent you are. But if it was any of us out here, oh boy, we would get railroaded. You guys skate, we get railroaded. And that to me is the silver lining here. The silver lining of what's going on with stories like this as the empire falls apart. No one is going to trust you anymore. Your legitimacy is crumbling. If none of you get in trouble for what you're doing, and the biggest heroes of my generation get 100+ years in prison for what they did, why should we trust you? Why should we follow the law if it doesn't apply to you? Why? Just out of fear? You guys are just pure tyrants now, huh? Because we know it'll happen to us. We know you'll come for us. But you guys get off for whatever. I mean, you're living in a world, 2025. Should I just be able to say what I want about America? I understand if you want to pretend that YouTube is a private company. We all know the CIA created this platform. Read Yasha Levine's Silicon Valley book. This didn't come out of nowhere. It's kind of ironic because they created Signal too. But how do you think the Chinese Communist Party looked at this? I mean, I was thinking about that. It was the first thing that occurred to me today. It's like the Chinese Communist Party a few years ago, the CIA landed in the country and they started using Signal or some equivalent. The Chinese immediately broke the encryption, caught 20 CIA agents and put them in prison or executed them. So how do you think they look at this? What do you think would happen to a Chinese Communist Party member that had their Signal group chat about, the Chinese don't invade other countries? I guess it'd be Vietnam in the 70s. What do you think would happen to them? I heard the other day they got rid of 4 million Communist Party members in China for corruption in the past 10, 15 years. That was under Xi's reforms. Well, you guys are just firing grandmas that work at like the DMV or whatever. I'm glad you got rid of USAID. I mean, I get that. I'm glad you did that. But there's probably some, I have a friend, his brother has like a PhD in agricultural science, and he's like, well, I think I'm going to take the buyout. So he's some guy working in a government office trying to figure out how to make farms grow food better. And he's going to get the axe. And Garland and Caleb were just talking on the show, and they said they thought maybe they can find us like $140 a person. That's how much money they've saved from this. How much did each one of these missiles that you shot at the Houthi civilians that we just saw Pepe Escobar standing in the middle of the wreckage of? How much did each of those missiles cost? 10 million apiece. So 60 million to kill 6 innocent people. Well, that's good. 10 million an innocent person. That's good odds. Thoughts and prayers. Great job. God bless CENTCOM. Unbelievable. I think what disappoints me the most about this is I had hope in Trump not doing crap like this. We'll see if he's held accountable. Like I just said, Matt Taibbi, Walter Kern were on the Megyn Kelly show. I want to call her Kellyanne Conway half the time. I get my blonde Republicans confused. They're kind of like, you know, similar colored Lego pieces. You can pop them off and on, whichever way you like. But anyway, she did not think this was a big deal. She's like, it's like accidentally emailing your mom. And they didn't really say anything bad on there. You know, like it just looked a little bit bad. And I was really had my ear to the ground to listen to Matt and Walter. Because that's the only podcast I pay for. And I love their literature stories because I'm an English teacher and you guys are helping me collect literature stories. Overall, I love Matt and Walter. Kind of like my pops who just popped in here. He's down there in the waiting room. We'll bring him in just a second when I finish this thought. We don't agree on everything. I tell the kids when I teach journalism that you need to find 5 or 10 journalists that you at least believe in your heart that they are telling you the truth as they see it. They're not lying to you. Corporate media just straight out lies to you. It's CIA, Mockingbird media. But I don't agree with Matt and Walter on they seem a little bit more in love with the Trump administration than me. A little bit less likely to critique the blue and yellow country in the Middle East. Walter actually said on there that like bombing the Houthis was not a controversial decision. If I was talking to Walter, maybe he would just say, I'm talking about in the elites of Washington. It's not a controversial decision. Okay, I get that. But they were also like, you know, I think Trump could play this off okay, the signal chat thing. It'll be okay. And Walter told a story about almost getting fired from a gas station because he almost set it on fire. And the boss came in the next day and was like, something happened here. Don't do it again. And he was like, I realized the power and grace like that. He could have gotten me in trouble, but he didn't. And that's sort of what Trump is doing with these people. And I think they'll straighten up and be good now. Did Julian Assange and Edward Snowden get that same grace? Shouldn't Edward Snowden should have a national holiday. Julian Assange should have won the Nobel Peace Prize at least 5 times, maybe 10. So, love you boys, but disagree with you on that one. And that's okay. With that in mind, let's bring Pops in. I was just talking to him about this earlier. Let's see what Pops thinks about all this. How are you doing tonight, Gary Man?
Hey, if I was any better, if I was twins, one of us would be jealous.
I'm always a little jealous of you.
Oh, yeah, right.
I was in a chat earlier tonight and someone wrote, you know, we need to talk to everybody. We need to, you know, make an effort to connect with all people. And I said, you know, I agree. I even talked to my dad. Dad's messing with the headphones. He's going to try. I don't hear any feedback. Do you hear feedback on your end? You got an echo tonight?
Well, I put these on just to make my son happy.
You do have less room noise. That's very good. We're getting professional, Pops. I'm proud of you. Although I forgot. I forgot to turn on my preamp for like the first 2 minutes of this video. But last time we streamed, I had my monitors up and you could hear the, like, say something.
What do you want me to say?
See, I bet that part will echo because I got the speakers turned up. But I turned down the monitor. Now I'm just in the headphones. We're good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so.
I was ranting about what I told you about earlier, how none of these people on this chat, here they are. These people here. Pete Hegseth, JD Vance, Michael Waltz, John Ratcliffe, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, Susie Wiles, Marco Rubio, Stephen Miller. They were all in this chat together. Joe Kent, Steve Witkoff, Scott Bessent. None of them are going to get in trouble. But where if me and you had leaked this, oh, God forbid, we'd die in prison. But look after they bombed the Houthis, what they said, Dad. Good job, Pete and team. Great work. Powerful start. Where's this other one? She said, kudos to all, most particularly those in theater and sitcom. Really great. God bless. 1 flexed bicep and 2 American flag emojis. And Steve Witkoff posted 2 hands praying. Great work and effects.
Let's bring God into it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And I don't know if you saw on the video earlier, but Pepe Escobar here, he went to the place that they bombed, and it's right here. It was some guy's poor shop. You see that? This is some civilian shop in Yemen. They killed 6 people. Well, hey,
damage.
Do you think God guided those missiles to this poor shopkeeper's place here?
Nah. They just counted off as collateral damage.
Andy says Tulsi denied being there in the chat. Yeah. She sure sold out quickly. She did. She got her mind right. I don't know what they did to her. Mind right. I don't know how they threatened her. My phone is dying or something. Let's try switching the camera around here. Oh, your browser has lost the connection. Oh well. We'll go back to the old one. Oh boy. No stream is complete without a little bit of technical difficulties. Oh well, we'll go to that one. That works fine. But yeah. As a Christian communist, it's a little hard for me to think that the good Lord guides the missiles straight to the innocent people's house. But I'm glad Hegseth and the others were praying. It sure seemed to help. What's been on your mind with the news?
Well,
what have you been focused on this week? Or just
not any one thing in particular, but I just listen to all of it.
That's what
like
I do.
This deal. That's like this deal here. It's so new that a lot of what you're hearing, you don't have no basis in fact. So you don't know how much is and how much isn't. I mean, unlike some people we know, rather than spout off my opinion based on perception instead of facts, I would need more information before I could make, and even at that, any information you get from either side is definitely going to be flavored. So you kind of have to read between the lines on both sides and then throw it all together and just kind of see if you can gain some kind of sight line of vision through the mud.
Well, yeah. I think the interesting thing
trouble with a lot of folks, son, their opinions are based on perception. They're not analytical thinkers. They're like a They're like an old workhorse with blinders on. They can only see straight ahead, but they have no peripheral vision. And what I mean by that is these people who can't think analytically, they just look straight and they only see one side. They can't think outside the box to gather information. You know, they've already made up their mind by the first headline they see. And so anyway, so it is what it is.
I think it's a great world where me and you can get on here and people like us and share our thoughts, you know, and at the same time, we can we can look at where they actually hit. We have a guy that is just went there and he can show us what they hit. And then we can get over here and within a couple days, we can read the text messages of the people that shot the missile.
Yeah. See, everybody just needs to.
That's great to me because it's blowing apart their bullshit. You know what I mean?
We need a lot of people to quit hating each other because of a difference, because of a different view.
Do you get what I'm saying though? That this is changing things because people are able to share their opinions and they're able to real quick see if it's BS or not. I mean, back in the day you couldn't go to Iraq and then get on CNN and be like, "Hey guys, they're lying. Here, I went here with my phone." You know what I mean?
I love my son. I love my Christian I love my Christian communist son. And or whatever you called yourself. And anyway,
stupid name. Myself.
He loves his libertarian 3/4 anarchist father.
3/4 anarchist, 1/4 libertarian. That's pretty much you.
Yeah, because
I don't think you're gonna dye your hair blue and get your nose pierced, though.
No, it's not gonna happen. My hair won't be green before my death. So
thank God. I don't think I could eat around you anymore.
Unless it's due to radiation or something, but but I don't think that's gonna happen.
It's probably all the waves from the
I said
FBI
3/4 anarchist because I ain't a total anarchist, but at the same time, I like a lot of people. Just don't like a government. I just don't like somebody telling us what to do and how we ought to do it.
That's the Irish in you.
Yeah, Scots Irish.
The born fighting. There's nothing more Irish than an American person that heard they were Irish. That's the most Irish people in the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. You know, it's like St. Patrick's Day. Somebody asked me if I said I don't celebrate that. I said, you know what? Everybody wants to be Irish. Oh, I've got ancestry. Oh, shut up.
We got a pretty honest name for it.
I got the name for it.
Whiskey named after us. Have you ever seen those videos of how the people in Ireland got rid of their drug problem? They just went and found the drug dealers and shot them in the kneecaps. Did you ever see that video?
Yeah, the Irish have a unique way of taking care of problems.
Just take care of it. I feel that in my blood when these people get away with this, and I'm like, why is no one doing anything? Why is this just going on? I don't understand. It feels wrong to me. Go over to the holler and take care of it.
Yeah, the Irish throw a few street, the Irish should make up a few street brawls and throw them in a few storefronts or something, Their whole time, they've been fighting for thousands of years. They don't have to fight. It's like one guy said, they just love a dang good fight. Because the thing about it is, it ain't with that they can't even get along with themselves.
Right. I mean, we're just a few clicks away from this, Dad. Doesn't that kind of stir something in your heart a little bit when you see that?
Oh, it's
gets you going a little bit, don't it? It does me. But I'm a big fan of orange and green.
Yeah.
Oh man. I've only got about 1 hour in me. and then I'm gonna have to split. But
Yeah.
I like to ride out that full hour. I just wanted to get on here and point out the hypocrisy of all these people getting caught leaking all this private stuff. And I did hear one person goes, well, they didn't mean to. We got to take that into account, that they didn't mean to.
Well, you also can't believe everything you hear either from because, you know,
You don't
one
believe
thing we know
Newsweek?
for sure, one party in particular, they're looking for ammunition anywhere they can find it anyway. So they're going to actually build up the story and flavor it in such a way. So, you know, oh my God, oh Lord, get a life. The only reason they don't like people like me, because I see through their BS and call them on it.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've lived through 8 years of them getting caught. What was that?
They
FBI
don't like
guy
the truth.
Was it Peter Strzok? Was he the one that was texting like, we'll make sure Donald Trump doesn't win? Or
oh yeah,
like that guy was like a hero,
Like-
kind of. They were like, they like that. I hate it when they both do it. I'm not taking sides on it, but this one just especially kind of struck me
Maxine,
as sick.
you know
because,
Maxine, you know Maxine, the
'cause they went after so
86-year-old
many people I look
senator,
up to.
Maxine Waters.
But these guys will all skate.
She's not
What'd
but
Maxine
86. Maxine said, you know, we need to check in on. Well, we already know they're both U.S. citizens, but we need to check in on Melania. Said, you know, they want to deport people. Well, let's deport Melania and send her back to Russia. And I'm like, okay, Maxine, get a grip. It ain't going to happen. And you're just making yourself look stupid. God.
Maxine.
They are the party.
Back to Russia, back to Africa, back to Ireland. Let's all go back.
Well, I got news for him. And I'll tell you this, son. If you do the genealogy or the ancestry, you'll find out.
We're half black.
Nah, well,
I knew
maybe. I don't know. But I can tell you this much.
I knew I liked hip-hop for a reason.
We was here before they all started this crap anyway, so.
I knew I could rap those Eminem songs well for a reason.
Our family been over here over 150 years before they ever had the Declaration of Independence.
Amen. You know, I heard Ireland might. This is how we talk, guys. Me and Dad, like we're both very dedicated to our end of the conversation, and sometimes they just don't cross for a while. But what were you saying, Dad? I'll let you finish.
About what?
He's lighting an Eagle 20 on off screen there.
About what?
What were you saying? Finish your thought.
I don't know. Oh, I said, if you check out your ancestry, I said, I don't care what they say about leaving. I got news for you. There wasn't no immigration. Listen, okay. Our families was here 150 years before there ever was a Declaration of Independence. And I think a lot of people don't even know about that. The Declaration of Independence wasn't when the Constitution wasn't ratified till what, 1875, something. The Declaration of Independence was simply a paper signed that declared our independence. In other words, we were going to fight for our independence from England, and that was in 1776. But the Constitution wasn't actually ratified till much later.
Did Donald Trump say something the other day about us being British again? My Irish self doesn't. I don't like that very much. But I did hear Ireland's working on another civil war here soon, so that
UK. Well, they're working on one. I didn't know it ever stopped.
That's right. They've been fighting forever.
Here's something else. I think people think Ireland's all the same. Ireland is a country, but then Northern Ireland is separate. They're not part of the.
That's that British
Northern
part.
Ireland is part of the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the UK tried to colonize it from the north. I always thought, because that never made sense to me till I realized that. I always thought they just, Catholics and Protestants hated each other. And then I realized it wasn't that. It was more that it was because the British had colonized the north.
And because they wanted
And they were Protestant.
Protestant in Ireland. So they took Northern Ireland and they moved,
British,
they moved the Scots in
Mm-hmm.
and put them under British rule.
Yep.
It's a long, complicated story. But when people say Ireland, I think they think the country Ireland includes both Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, and that they just have a civil war. It's not that simple.
We're the original slaves of the British. Never forget. People like that. You won't get canceled for saying that. Not in America.
But it's one thing. It's just like the Roman Empire, you know, Ireland, Scotland. They were never fully conquered. They finally gave up their endeavor and went home.
100%. 100%. Well, do you got any potatoes in your house?
Oh, there's always potatoes.
I figured you didn't go very far without a potato falling close behind.
Well, it's kind of like that. Is there any way you can fix a potato that ain't good?
You know, I haven't had a potato in almost a year because I've been on keto.
Yeah.
But
you can't have potatoes on.
No, because they're like the carbiest of the carbs. But sometimes when I order the Mexican burrito, I order it without a burrito, but I know it's got waffle fries in it, and I just pretend I pretend those waffle fries aren't in there, and I just enjoy them.
You pretend they don't exist.
I do. I wrap the waffle fry burrito in a keto tortilla and just enjoy it. Just enjoy the crunch of the fries. Also, kind of, what else do I cheat on a little bit? It's kind of like sometimes I'll buy those chicken salads with the croutons in the mix.
Yeah.
The like kind of like Dorito chip croutons, and I'll just kind of pretend those aren't in there as well. You know, you gotta make it to where you can keep at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Keep at it. That's not hypocrisy. That's the real point of this stream, guys. That's why you clicked to hear that I'm a little bit of a keto hypocrite. But I will say on Keto Dad, I crave fruit. I crave it. I crave blueberries. I crave apples. I crave oranges. And I let myself
at least it's natural sugar.
Yeah. I don't think anybody ever got super fat eating fruit. Maybe a monkey.
No,
my favorite study I've ever seen, Dad. Have you ever seen that the video of they had two groups of monkeys, and one monkeys bullied the other monkeys. They'd poke them with a stick, and the monkeys that got poked, they got fat. So it was like getting fat was more an indication of stress than it was of eating too much. It was feeling like you couldn't control your life, and that made
so is
fat.
the indoctrination of the minds of Americans and their food, is that the same as poking them with a stick?
Kind of. I think, like every bill you get in the mail is like getting poked with a stick.
Be like, you know,
have you seen the video of the jealous monkey? Here, let's end with this tonight. I want to show you this real quick. You'll like this one too. Let me see. Present. Share screen.
Is the one about the monkey putting up a fence and all that?
I don't think so. But let's see. Let's see if you've seen this before.
Experiment that I want to mention to you. So a final experiment that I want to mention to you is our fairness study. And so this became a very famous study, and there's now...
So I'm going to skip a little bit because I've had my video go down for playing a TED Talk before. They get crazy about these. But anyway, right here. So he gives each monkey a cucumber. The game is he gives it a rock, and if it gives it back to him, it gets a treat. So he at first he gives them each a cucumber, and they like a cucumber pretty good. But then he starts giving one of them a grape, and the other one still gets a cucumber. And I want you to see how they respond.
Never done the task, is thinking that maybe they would have a stronger reaction, and that turned out to be right. The one on the left is the monkey who gets cucumber. The one on the right is the one who gets grapes. The one who gets cucumber, note that the first piece of cucumber is perfectly fine. The first piece he eats. Then she sees the other one getting grape, and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber.
He starts beating on the table. Damn it, give me a grape. You son of a...
She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again. So this is basically the Wall Street protest that you see here.
Yeah, that's a good one. I saw somebody play that the other day, and I hadn't seen it in years, and it reminded me what a good video that is. The other monkey one, that's in some documentary I watched where the monkey gets fat from being bullied by the bigger monkeys. But,
yeah. No, what I was talking about was some kind of deal where, you know, it was like how monkeys are better than humans because it said, you ever see a monkey put a fence around his coconut tree? You ever see him beat his neighbors off? You know, you ever see him hoard? You know, you don't see him in.
Bonobos are pretty kind. They just have sex a lot and eat. But chimpanzees are mean. They'll rip each other apart. Yeah. I've heard we're kind of a little bit of each one of those. That was so human though when he starts shaking the thing and beating on the table. Hey.
Yeah, that's funny.
That grape. Anyway, any final thoughts, Dad? I'm gonna get off here and wind down for the night.
Yeah, it reminds me of somebody that. It reminds me of some Americans who are upset. You know, there's another example. Americans who are upset because somebody else is getting some kind of social benefit that they're not, and they're just mad as heck, you know. Well, how come I don't? It never ends.
Always. So, that's why means testing usually doesn't work, because if everybody doesn't get it, then they're like, well, I want it.
You know, sure. But when you see and hear, you know, something that you know is nonsense. You know, you're great. Your great grandpa, your great Irish grandpa, he used to say, that was one of his sayings, you know.
Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie would say, you know, well, there's another country heard from and no potatoes raised.
That's a good old Irish grandpa saying. I heard you were a lot like him. He could fix anything like you and play guitar. And
yeah, I've heard that. So I don't know.
I love that he bought a sawmill out of a Sears and Roebuck catalog. That's incredible to me.
Yeah. Back in I got, you know, your grandpa, my dad, he had the book to that, the owner's manual that come with that.
Really?
It's here in the cabinet. I'll have to give that to you.
I'd love to have it. Well, I'm going to wind it down for the night, Dad. You got anything to tell the people before you go?
No, just be nice to each other.
Amen. Be nice to somebody you don't like. What's the Bible say? Even the heathens are nice to the people they like.
Yeah. Yeah, it ain't no, you know. Oh, it ain't no trick to like the people that
are nice.
that are nice. I mean, there's no
being
trick to
kind
that.
people that ain't. But old Hegseth, he's being nice to the people of Yemen, certainly. So thoughts and prayers there.
Oh yeah, we're what response? Government, they got a big switchboard. What response to? Oh yeah, you know what? That button that says thoughts and prayers. The people in Congress have used that button so much that they know by memory where it's at, because you can't tell where it's at by the letters, because they got the letters from wore plumb off the button.
That's right.
They punched it so many times. Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Here's a problem over here. Okay, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. There's
no Christian witness like bombing people.
Let's put out a memo to the public. What should we say? Oh, say thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers.
Should we stay Muslim or should we become Christian like the people bombing us? I don't know.
Neither one of them.
Well, the Jews, that's the way to go. Oh,
one of the greatest.
There goes my stream.
I'm not talking about God, but one of the greatest evils in the world has been religion.
We were talking about that earlier.
More people have died in the name of their religion or their denomination. Get over yourself.
I like old Tolstoy. Well, me and Dad are going to start what are we going to call our church?
What did I say?
The gospel without bullshit.
No. The bullshit it was
church.
No, it was the gospel without the bullshit.
Yes, and you guys should come sign up. A good start would be to sign up for my Patreon page, and that'll be the seed money. Plant your seed at the gospel.
Oh Lord, no.
Send it in. Buy us a coffee. Buy us a Bible. Buy us a hymnal. Help us get started.
There's another bunch I can't stand.
Lay your hands on us.
The Seed Faith Ministry.
Lay your hands on us like Pete Hegseth and J.D. Vance laid their hands on those missiles that blew up those Yemeni civilians. Please, everybody out there. You'll be blessed beyond words.
Yeah, send the money. Send the money. Send the money. Help me pay for my yacht. Send the money.
Amen. I need that plane to be closer to Jesus. Okay? I can't be flying commercial and connected to the spirit around all of them people, them demons. Them people possessed by demons on American Airlines. Anyway. All right, Dad,
they're too good. They're too good to fight commercial. They want their own plane.
Well, I go to a lot of revivals in these little tiny towns, and you can't get there commercial. You need a private jet. Flying to Salem Airport. I need a private jet. That's what he said. I love that clip.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, there's a runway. Yeah, I tell you what, there's a runway with the landing lights turned on in hell for you.
He's gonna fly right in, whatever that guy's name is, with the bug out eyes. I can't remember that.
Yeah, hell's got the landing lights turned on for you, you hypocrite. So, well.
How are you?
I can't leave.
Who was that?
I gotta see it. We gotta watch it. Kenneth Copeland.
Sir, we'd just like to ask you about why you don't want to fly commercial. Why have you said that you won't fly commercial? You said that it's like getting into a tube with a bunch of demons. Why do you think that?
Here's how Inside Edition's chief investigative correspondent Lisa Guerrero interviewed televangelist Kenneth Copeland.
They are some of the most popular and flashy TV evangelists in the country.
When we decided to do this interview, we were aware of his schedule.
When did he say it at? Skip all the BS.
They say no. In this case, we wanted to talk to Kenneth Copeland about his comments about getting into a tube full of demons, and he wouldn't fly commercial because of that.
Do you think that people that fly commercial are demons?
If you give me a chance to talk, sweetheart, I'll explain this to you. But it's a biblical thing. It's a spiritual thing. It doesn't have anything to do with people.
You're a very wealthy man.
Yes.
Yeah. And some people would say that is it appreciated?
May I add something to that? My wealth doesn't come from offerings alone.
Because you sell things, books and DVDs.
Yes, and I have a lot of natural gas on our property. Didn't know that, did you, babe?
Now I do.
Yeah, you do.
Calling me baby and sweetheart. My answer to that is
Look at
Didn't
this
know
part.
that, did you, baby?
I just let those comments kind of roll right off my
Crazy
back
eyes,
because
Dad.
Yeah, you know, I don't know how
He
people
looks demon possessed to me.
take so long to figure it out because there are a lot. Well, they don't have the gift of discernment. There's a lot of them guys. The first 15 seconds I ever saw them in my life, I knew they. You could just see that. You just see the evil.
I wanted him to answer
Your spirit don't identify with
if
it.
I were to get defensive or, you know, say something back to him that would have been ugly, then maybe he would have
Says the demons. I want to get to that thing about the demons.
Yes, please.
The Bible says in the book of Ephesians, oh God, I love this. We wrestle not with people.
At the end of the day, when that, 11
That is
12 minute
not what it
conversation
says.
was done, we looked at it and we thought that our viewers might want to see the entire conversation. There was one of the Wild Side Edition out. The approach.
With Inside Edition, how are you? Do you really
It doesn't.
Yeah, that didn't have the good clips in it. I want to watch the whole thing though. It's 12 minutes.
Yeah, I've seen it before. Yeah, he's right. He's flavored
know
it
that's what
because
we were
it doesn't say nothing about people. See, they can't get ahead of me.
Anyway,
It said we
no,
wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with powers, principalities, and it doesn't say people.
so you're saying Kenneth Copeland got something wrong, but he's led by the Spirit. The spirit
Yeah,
of Satan, the spirit of Mammon.
I don't know
Anyway.
what he's led by, but
We're
he's
just bringing that up. You guys can treat us as your Kenneth Copeland. We'll never steer you wrong.
he's
And you can
not
sign up
getting,
down
you
there
know,
in the description.
him and that other guy used to
The
have with
Church of
him.
No Bullshit. Me and Dad are starting.
Yeah, the Copenhagen ministry.
This is how me and Dad do. We decide to get off the phone at about 1 hour, and then it's 1 hour and 19 minutes later, and we're still wrapping things up. But I'm calling it for sure, Dad. I love you. God bless you, brother.
I love
hope
you.
I hope you get that plane you've always wanted, so you can be up there close to the man in the sky.
I don't want the plane.
Dad.
I don't need the plane.
This podcast.
I don't need this. You know what? I just like to have peace.
This podcast is going to send us to a natural gas field. I can feel it in my heart. We're being led. We're being led to
You're
riches.
gonna.
Now, these riches that we're going to attain from our Patreon subscribers, okay? This is money. This is like I said, this is seed money. And me and you will eventually have our own private plane because
If we get anything, it's because they feel sorry for these stupid idiots.
we couldn't be on a private plane together, of course, because we need to spread our legs.
I got news for you.
And
if I come in some money, I'm not buying a private plane.
Meditate with the Spirit alone, you know. So until then, we'll both hang out in our rented apartments here and make our little YouTube video where we scream at the government, and that'll fix things, you know.
Yeah, it's got like I said, you want to hear how to solve the world's problems? Go to McDonald's in the morning before and listen to all these old men. They got all the answers to the problems.
That would be my system of government. Is the government is just randomly selected of old men coffee drinkers at McDonald's, and they get to serve like 4 years, and then you select again, and that would work well.
Oh Lord, it'd
be way more entertaining.
Oh my God.
Well, on that note, let's get out of here before it's midnight. I love you, Dad. I'll talk to you later. Okay?
Okay, I love you too.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching our craziness. And join our Church of No Bullshit. Link down in the description. See you later. God bless.
Yeah, without the bull.
Amen.
Yeah, amen.
From your mouth to Pete Hegz's ears.